Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Nima Abouardi, and today we're going to go behind the scenes at the Dubai Fashion Week, where the catwalk models aren't the only ones causing a stir. Local designers are complaining that the show isn't giving them a high enough profile. Also coming out this week, Gulf governments are splashing out to upgrade their navies and secure their seas. In a special report from Qatar, we look at who's benefiting most from the boom in military spending. Out with the new, in with the old. Dubai reshuffles the leadership of its biggest companies, but is it the new start the Emirate needs? Food for thought. A new project promises cheap food locally grown in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and it aims to turn a profit.
Lights, camera and poetry. This week I'm on set of the TV show that's taken the Arab world by storm.
Behind their dazzling facades, the modern states of the Gulf are facing more complex threats than ever before. Terrorism, piracy and smuggling all mean that the governments of this region are spending millions upgrading their military and naval defences. So how are firms here in the Middle East getting in on the action? Well, Stephanie Hancock has been finding out and has this report from Qatar.
The waters of Doha port are packed with warships from around the world. Happily, the thousands of sailors here come in peace. Navies from across the globe are here to take part in a huge naval exhibition. Spending on maritime defence in the Middle East is up despite the global recession, and the region is now seen as a key growth market. Countries in the Gulf and North Africa are buying more than ever before, and Iraq is also spending big as it tries to restore its depleted naval capabilities. While the usual big spenders like the US and Europe are slashing budgets, here it's time to hang out the bunting.
We forecast market conditions, and our forecast for the region 2 years ago had $25 billion in spending set over the next 20 years. We've revised that forecast, and now we're looking at on the order of $30+ billion. That signals, I think, what's the vitality of the market here. Everybody in the world market knows where the money's being spent, and here's one of those places.
A warship like this would set you back around $300 to $600 million. So with price tags like that, it's not surprising that currently it's the cash-rich nations here in the Gulf who are spending the most on their navies. But this size of investment doesn't go unnoticed. So what kind of message does this type of military spending spree send to the rest of the world?
I think it's very important if you consider that this is becoming a cooperative thing. If you have individual countries just taking care of themselves rather than the region, then that's when I think you tend to have escalating tensions, because each country is focused on themselves. Instead, what I'm hearing is that as a group, the Gulf countries are beginning to work together to protect the entire region.
Take a look at this region and you'll see why spending is up. Political tensions with Iran and ongoing terror threats cast a shadow of insecurity, and insecurity is always good business for someone. Here at the Naval Exhibition, there are many companies looking to cash in. EADS is one of the biggest defence manufacturers in Europe. A decade ago, its share of the Middle East market was almost zero, but today it makes up at least 20% of all sales.
In all the world, you have the same problem. But there is few areas where you have such a proximity between the threats and the assets, and together you have so many assets concentrated in one place. Here, if you look at the number of assets you have in Qatar or in Abu Dhabi, it's absolutely incredible. These countries have to grow capabilities to protect themselves against this terrorism and these completely asymmetric threats, which is completely new for them.
As well as foreign firms, there's also new opportunity for Middle Eastern companies too. Abu Dhabi Shipbuilding is the only firm in the region that actually builds warships from scratch. Last year, in the midst of a global recession, it recorded the biggest turnover and profit in the company's 14-year history.
Well, what we've done is we've added a strategic element into ship manufacturing in the GCC. We're the first and the most prominent shipyard for naval ships. That adds a strategy. That means we own our own destiny. We have inherited capabilities. And that has been proven to be of value to the UAE and to the bigger GCC.
Long term, it's likely that more Middle Eastern firms will follow suit. This area has hugely important assets to protect, and the region wants to show it's capable of keeping its own house in order. There's a strong political message in all this too. The waters here might be of international significance, but it's very much the Middle East will be controlling them.
Stephanie Hancock reporting from Qatar there. In a 10-year boom dubbed the Dubai Decade of Excess, a new generation of ambitious young businessmen over-borrowed and overspent. And now Dubai Inc. is paying the price. But recently it's been all changed at the top of some of the biggest companies in this emirate as the old guard stages a comeback. In November, the head of the Dubai International Financial Centre was removed. In a major reshuffle at the Investment Corporation of Dubai, the heads of Dubai Holding, Emirate and Nakheel were all removed from the board. And last week, the ailing property giant Nakheel also rejigged its board. So is it really the case of out with the new and in with the old? That's a question I put to the Professor of Political Science at Emirates University, Abdelkhaliq Abdallah.
We know a few things for sure. One is that the old team that was running Dubai prior to 2008 has gone and has almost disappeared. We know also for sure that there is in town a new financial and administrative team. These things are for sure. What we also know for sure is that the old team, which was running the show, valued youth and dismissed experience. I guess the question is, will this team, is this team the right team to deal with the difficult times that Dubai is going through?
But why is it taking time for people to be removed from certain posts?
I think we have seen that some of the top guys have already gone. Some of them have been, out of favor completely. Some have been replaced completely. And I expect that the others will follow. So the new team is taking its time. It's asserting itself. I think, the mandate is clear in here to clean up the mess that there was before 2008 that got us into this trouble.
Is this being encouraged or perhaps imposed by Abu Dhabi, the capital of the country?
I think as far as I'm concerned, it's purely Dubai driven. I think there is a need to send a message to Abu Dhabi. There is a need to send a message to foreign investors, to all sorts of things. And I think the message is clear. We are cleaning up the messes. We are getting rid of some of those who have already made some of the mistakes. And we are ready for a new beginning.
Is this part of a deliberate strategy that's being implemented? Or are we still seeing knee-jerk reactions?
We have this $80 billion debt, and we need to put our books in order, and we need to gain, number one, the trust and the confidence of the business community. And sometimes you have to react and you have to take decisions, such as dealing with the Dubai World in this initial problem, which shows lack of experience, lack of the inability to take a decision when the decision was needed to be taken. So even the new team has already made one big mistake at the very initial stage, and it dented some of its credibility. But maybe now it is regaining its composure and its authority.
It would appear that the old team that you refer to simply just ran with the Dubai way, with the excess of Dubai. So where does the fault lie?
Yeah, I think they were taken over by two things. Greed, number one. I think some of these guys were just very greedy. And number two, I think they have also been taken over by glamour of the success. I think, being intoxicated by success on the one hand and being driven by greed on the other hand led to the accumulation of this 80 to 100 billion debt that Dubai is carrying at the moment. It's a huge, heavy debt, but they could have gone away with it if it wasn't for the global financial crisis.
Abdelkhaliq Abdallah there. It's been called the Arab world's answer to Pop Idol, and with around 20 million viewers, it's certainly taking the region by storm. But instead of singing their way to success, the competitors recite poetry. And this week, the competition had its live grand finale in Abu Dhabi. So just what is the secret to its success? Well, Ben Thompson was there to find out.
رحبوا معي بحسين العامري وحصة الفلاسي.
This might look like just another TV talent show, with its bright lights, the big stage and the panel of judges. But take a closer look and this is a very different kind of show. It's not about dancing or singing. Instead, it's all about the ancient art of Arabic poetry. This is Millions Poet. It's an Abu Dhabi-based TV show that is taking the Middle East by storm. It regularly attracts more than 70 million viewers. Now, the concept is very simple. The contestants write their own poetry in traditional Nabati style, and they then come here on this stage to perform it. They get points from the judges, the studio audience, and the people watching at home. So it's a relatively simple concept, but just what makes this show so successful? The programme is a great success because it presents Arabic poetry in a new, modern way, he says. It's able to showcase new forms of poetry and new talents that didn't get noticed before. This also supports the local culture in the Gulf and across the Arab world. And for the remaining 5 contestants, there was a lot at stake. In the live grand final this week, the 3 Kuwaitis and 2 Saudis battled it out for the big prize. It was also a great night for the TV network and the advertisers, with a record audience expected to tune in for the nail-biting finish. They're in line for a big payout too. And the favourite was this woman, Hissa Halal, the 43-year-old mother of 4 from Saudi Arabia. As the only woman in the final, she'd already caused a stir, but it was her poems that shocked many. In her verses, she condemned the fatwas of hardline clerics in Saudi Arabia and discussed divorce and women's rights. The outspoken comments won her the praise of the judges and viewers, but earned her death threats from extremist Islamist websites. But she's determined those threats won't stop her writing.
I have the courage, and thank God I have a brave heart. I always use to write what I feel and what I think, regardless the society opinion about me. And you can say I have some enemies.
ألف 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 مبروك الناصر العجمي.
But it wasn't her night. Hissa was beaten to first place by Nasser Al-Ajami. The 30-year-old Kuwaiti won over the judges with his poem about helping others. A poem that's been months in the making.
The programme is everything for me. I prepared for it for 4 months. The competition was tough, there were strong poets, but I dreamed of winning and I got it.
And as well as getting the title, he also gets the prize, a cool $1.5 million. He says he'll use the money to pay off his debts and buy a house. The rest he'll donate to charity. That is, he says, what his poem was all about.
Ben Thompson reporting there. Right, we're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll go behind the scenes here at the Dubai Fashion Show to find out what the controversy is all about this time round. Welcome back to the programme. I'm Nima Abouarte. Here at Dubai Fashion Week, designers from around the world have gathered to show off their wares. But the international nature of this year's show has caused something of a controversy. Some local designers are saying that they want the show to do more to promote their talent. I put this to the man who runs Dubai Fashion Week, Saif Ali Khan.
I would beg to differ over there. We're always on the hunt for the local talent because, as is the name of the event, is Dubai Fashion Week, and as a dedication from our side and a commitment, we have dedicated the first day. The opening of the event was through a traditional abaya designer, and we had back-to-back 3 shows from Emirati designers.
So you're saying that you provide the platform, the opportunity, but that local talent has to come up with the goods?
Yes, exactly. We definitely are ready, and we are giving the platform wherein they can showcase their collection, but it has to meet the international standards, because Dubai Fashion Week is a growing international event. It's a proper fashion week.
And why would, say, Saks send a buyer here when they can go straight to the source? What's the appeal?
They're pretty interested in certain designers. Now, for example, Satyapal had their first show over here in the Middle East region, and that's the reason why they're here. The grand finale, which is Sabyasachi, is showcasing for the first time ever in the Middle East, and he's the grand finale. Andres Aquino, who's all the way from New York as well, has showcased for the first time ever at Dubai Fashion Week. So these are the reasons why the buyers are coming in.
And what sets Dubai Fashion Week apart? Why Dubai? What's the big deal about coming here?
Dubai primarily is a market, as I told you, and it's the fashion capital of the Middle East. But I do not compare ourselves with the other international fashion weeks because I agree I'm too small for it. We're growing. It would take definitely time for us to reach that level. And obviously, we're all focused towards that. We will reach that, but there's time for it.
Saif Ali Khan speaking to me earlier. Right, let's see what other business stories are making headlines across the region this week. Half of the planes belonging to Iran's national airline, Iran Air, have been banned from flying into the European Union over safety concerns. The European Commission said the planes don't meet the EU's safety standards, a claim hotly denied by Iran. The UAE's Ministry of Economy says it'll investigate why steel prices have risen by more than 60% since the beginning of the year. The ministry said the increase was unjustified and it would check to see if the market was being manipulated. And Jordan is to overhaul its rating system for restaurants. Up until now, they've been judged using criteria like size and decor. But once the new rules are drawn up, they'll be ranked for more traditional things like food quality, service and cleanliness. Food security has become an issue of increasing concern over the past few years, with countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia buying more fertile land in places like Cambodia and Sudan. They want to ensure that they can feed future generations. But a project down the road in the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah hopes to show that the Middle East can not only feed itself, but do it profitably too. Philip Hampshire has been finding out how.
The landscape of the Middle East does have a certain desolate beauty. But depending upon the country, it also means they have to import 75 to 90% of all the food they eat. And that creates concerns about future food security. Now there's a project undergoing a $50 million expansion in Ras Al Khaimah that aims to bring high-tech agricultural know-how to the region so that quality food can be grown locally. But unlike the expensive, subsidised plans of the past, this one has a twist in the tail. The farm uses hydroponics, the science of growing plants in water with no soil. And this is where the hydroponics comes in. You see, Salata Farms isn't just about bringing knowledge back to the Middle East, it's also about making a profit. They'll achieve that because they concentrate on highly perishable items like herbs and lettuces. Grown locally, hydroponically, the costs are a little less than they would be in Europe, and extra profits come from not having to fly the vegetables in. Thomas Schwartz, the entrepreneur behind the business, explains.
You know, I'm in the business of fruit and vegetables since 20 years. And I had a factory here for cutting salads. My needs was 15 to 16 tons per day, and I all have to fly that in to Dubai, which gives me huge bills every day for the airlines. The Crown Prince from Ras Al Khaimah, he is interested in the agricultural business in some years. They want to bring big agricultural business into this emirate. Everything has to be imported, you know. Avoid importation of this thing. This is what they are looking for, you know. And create own business. Have work for their people in the country, you know, not only in trading, also in producing something.
The hydroponic operation is currently expanding from just over 1 to 27 hectares in size, with farms in Ras Al Khaimah and Saudi Arabia. The break-even point is 4 hectares. All of this runs alongside a normal farming operation, and all of it without pesticides. Although Salata Farms is a relatively small-scale operation, they're enormously productive. In their 5 net houses like this one, they grow some 600 tons of capsicums. So how does growing lettuces in the desert make any sense given the high cost of water in the region?
Hydroponics is a much more water-efficient way of growing food. it uses around about 5% of the water compared to field irrigation, and that sort of figures here in the UAE. One of the reasons the water efficiency is so high is that you don't have any evaporation from the soil, which you do with field irrigation. You don't have issues with water seeping through the soil and getting lost that way. And because it's in a controlled environment, you don't have transpiration losses from the plants themselves.
In Dubai, the company's already building up a home delivery service that allows them to bypass supermarkets and boost margins even higher. Normally, locally grown food is sold at a discounted price because it's not up to international Class 1 standards. But customer Mariola Hickman is happy to pay the same price she would in a supermarket and get deliveries to her door.
Oh, the vegetables in the supermarket, it's not so good. The vegetables are not so fresh, and from Salata the vegetables are better.
Of course, the movement to fully profitable food security requires more than just salad. But the hope is that this project provides a footprint that can be rolled out if international commodity prices rise higher than the Gulf region can afford.
Philip Hampshire reporting there. Well, our time is very nearly up, but before the fashion show starts, let's see how the region's main markets finish the week. And remember, we'd love to hear your views about the programme and the types of stories that you think we could be covering where you live. The address is middleeastbiz@bbc.co.uk. Now, next week, join us as we go trackside to check out the latest fixture in the Middle East's racing circuit, the GT1 World Championship. Until then, from me, Nima Abuarte, and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.